Williamson is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin van Lukener certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.
As we wait for this gate to drop. And away they go then for the second race of the day. Let's see who takes the whole shot this time, and it looks like Bax then. The 82 machine of Bax goes into the Davy Sanders. Looks as though he is there in second. Kubin's there, the number 17, unfortunately. So Bax is out in front. Second place is Sanders. Third is Hermans. Fourth is Van Lukener. Arne Deerkins is fifth. Sixth looks like Cooch. Seventh is Barrett. So Arne Deerkins there couldn't quite get the whole shot. So Bax out in the lead. Can he make these first couple of laps and take the advantage? Oh, it's Tanner Resner. Collects his passenger after a tumble. So Bax, Sanders under pressure early from Koen Hermans. So Sanders, can he hold them off? And Bax, can he make the dash and gap these rest of this field? So Sanders, Larry Kunas, Koen Hermans and Nicolas Musset in the chair. Your 9 and 2 as they drop away towards the far end of the circuit. You can see Bax already got a couple of bike lengths up. Hermans tries the inside, not quite this time. The track has progressed, got a little rougher. There are a few more lines. They have taken some of the ruts out. So Sanders under pressure. Van Lukener in behind this first three. So Davy Sanders, the number 9, picks his way through the whoops. Then Hermans, and then Van Lukener, the back of the shop there. So we see Stupilis and Bax go up the hill. Sanders through, Hermans that comes through, Van Lukener then comes through, Arne Deerkins comes through. So Davy Sanders, Koen Hermans. Sanders has managed to eke out a little bit of a gap there. Quick look back from Koen Hermans to see who's behind. Big jump from Hermans that time. Starting to come under pressure from Marvin van Lukener. As I said in the first race, the wind has picked up slightly into their face on the big tabletops. So Sanders holding off Hermans. Hermans made a mistake and tips it over. Hermans just makes a mistake. Pitches the front end and pitches them both over the front. So these pair have got a lot to do to get back up to the leaders. So Sanders now has Marvin van Lukener to try and get past. That's Herman there still trying to get that bike started. So Sanders now coming under pressure from the 2018 world champion and the red plate holder. Again, you see these bikes struggling to get grip. Up some of these corners are fairly tight. Jump up onto the plateau. Right-handed, then slippery across here, and then drop down the bank into this tight right-hander. As we go back to watch Hermans, just gets it sideways, and it grips and just pitches the pair out the front. Slow speed crash. So now Marvin van Lukener then looking round the outside of Davy Sanders. Not quite this time. So he's seen possibly where he could pass. So Sanders over. Van Lukener almost alongside this time, and Van Lukener tries to make the effort, just jumps a little long on the first little jump into the whoops. Gives Davy Sanders a little bit more breathing room. And of course, while these two are fighting, Bax is off into the sun and away. Davy Sanders then, the number 9 machine. The Finnish passenger, Larry Kunas, working hard to get the drive to the rear wheel. Both of these drivers electing to jump short this time. Down into this slippery left-hander at the bottom of the circuit. Drive back up over this little plateau And Van Luken goes for the inside this time. Won't have the drive into this corner. Has to back out. So Marvin trying everything in his playbook to try and get past Davy Sanders. As we look then, Sanders, Van Luken, Arnie Deakins is coming onto the back of this crew now as well. So we have a bit of a freight train here. Sanders made a slight mistake. Marvin goes in for the outside. Not able to again this time. Down into this very bottom corner. Very tight. You can see the ruts. See the rear wheel spinning up, trying to get drive. Sanders up over onto the plateau. Van Luken, Deakins. So as you can see, this train of 3 is becoming 4 shortly, with Varick and Dadas is starting to come to this group as well. So Davy Sanders manages to get a couple of bike lengths between him and Marvin. As you can see them fighting with the handlebars, trying to make these machines go forward. Laris Dadas there just goes for a tear off. So Davy Sanders, Marvin Van Luken, Arne Deakins, your 2, 3 and 4 in the picture. Behind the start gate then, as you see all the mechanics on the right of the screen there, giving these riders their position, their lap times and the distance between them and their next competitor. So Varick has started to join this freight train. Cooch is the next one across the line there, the first of the left-hand chairs. Oh, big jump from Marvin that time. So Compilati comes through then, Van Werven comes through, Stuart Brown is next through, the second of the left-hand chairs. So Stuart Brown there. Compilati jumps big, Van Werven jumps big. Brown now goes for the inside, decides against it. So Zeno Compilati, the Italian-French combo, then Van Werven, boom, and then Brown and Chamberlain. The yellow flag's there, so they have to ride with caution. Do not know what's happened. Flags go in, and away they go again. So Zeno Compilati under pressure. Van Werven then tries the inside line. Can't quite make that one stick. Stuart Brown there, you can see the 888 machine, the left-hand sidecar. He's having to pick his lines to make sure that he can keep in contention with these guys in front. So Zeno Compilati, the black helmet riders in front, the Italian-French pairing. Brown now will try and come up the inside line and get stuck. So Compilati manages to get away. Van Werven manages to get going again. Brown stuck in behind him, and looks as though Santomans is starting to come. That's Justin Kubin. So back with the second and third place. Davy Sanders is still holding off Marvin Van Luken and Ben van der Bogart. But for how much longer, as Bax is away? Oh, Deakins has had a problem. So it looks as though Deakins has made a mistake somewhere. Robbie holding his shoulder there, I hope he's okay. Looks as though they're all right. So whether they just hit some of that soft stuff there and spat him out. So Van Luken then has got in front of Davy Sanders. So we missed that out of shot. Marvin Van Luken then has passed Davy Sanders. Now can Sanders hang on to Van Luken's shirt tails and pull them up towards Bax? I will get my stopwatch on the gap when they come through next time and give you exactly the timing that we have. So Van Luken then starting to stretch away from Davy Sanders as they go away towards the middle of the circuit, over some of these slower corners, drop down this hill, down into this slowish left-hander, and then it tightens at the bottom into a hairpin left. Very tricky, very awkward to make these machines go places like this. So, as we go back on screen, Cooch there, the number 22, the left-hand chair there. He's the first of the left chairs, I believe. Cooch Cousins, the Swiss pairing, been riding well this year. And that is Varick. So whether Varick has made a mistake or Cooch, I don't know. I will look as they come through for you. So as we look at the Swiss pair go through, Cooch with Varick and Dadas had a third in the first race. So whether they've made the mistake as well, I'm not 100% sure. So Santiman's through, Hermans is in there, there's young George Kinge, he goes through with Jake Brown and Joe Millard behind him. So Santiman's there is in the red. In the blue and white there is Hermans, the number 2 machine. Saw earlier, made a slight mistake earlier. So they come up the start straight then to start the next lap, and Van Lukkenen is around 20 seconds down on backs. Can he make up all this ground? And also Hermans needs to make as much room as he can, as you see there, drives inside of Santiman's, makes the pass stick, big jump down that tabletop to the bottom end of the circuit, and his next pair are Van Werven and Compilati in front of him. So finished second in the first race, needs to start working hard. Looks as though he's lying maybe in the top 10 just. That will not do his points any good. As we look at Stuart Brown there, just slightly stalled the bike in there. Zeno Compilati goes through, Van Werven through, and there is Hermans. Hermans, I think, must be just inside the top 10. Yes, 10th, but a long way down time-wise. So as this trio drop down, Compilati in the black helmet in front of Van Werven, and Hermans goes for the inside line this time, not able to make it stick. Tries to cut back through on the inside, will have the inside line up onto the plateau here and makes that move stick. So Hermans now, next man in front of him is Zeno Compilati, Bastien Chopin. Tries the inside line there, beautiful move. So 2 places in 2 corners for Hermans. Just squared Compilati up nicely, managed to get the drive away from them. So the next man is Hermans over that little lip into the waves. Said yesterday the boys were jumping these, tunnel jump, then down behind the start straight as Stuart Brown then goes up through picture. Hermans the next one through. Van Werven is your next, and Compilati is your next 18. So Van Werven drops down. Compilati then trying to keep hold of him. So the TM machine goes through, Compilati then comes through. Quick look across from Gert Van Werven at Peter. Oh, and that's Suninski, 122. Looks as though he's beached that good and proper. So can Compilati come back on to Van Werven as Hermans goes through the shot then? Here is Gert Van Werven and Peter Bjunk, then Zeno Compilati and Bastien Chopin. And unfortunately, I've just seen Jake Brown go through the picture. Looks as though they've got bike problems. Oh, such a shame. So, as we wait for Bax then, Bax goes through to start another lap, just over 15 and a half minutes you can see the gap physically there as Bax jumps that big tabletop, and here is Davy Sanders then still hanging on to second place. This is a cracking ride for the pairing. First year together this year. Larry rode with his brother for a few years in the Grand Prix. This year has switched across to the young Belgian. Sorry, they're on third place. Sorry, Van Luken is obviously up into second now. So Sanders then, third place. Drive back down over this big tabletop. Elects to jump short. As I said, as they jump that tabletop, the wind is directly into their face. So they do have to be careful that they don't get too high, and the machine acts as a sail. So there's Cooch, Cousins, and back to Davy Sanders. So looks as though there's a bit of a gap now between himself and Varick is the next crew through here. It's Varick and Dada's through. Stuart Brown just goes through past the back marker. Koen Hermans then is coming towards them. Cooch just behind that. So Kurt Varick, Laurens Dada's through the shot. Stuart Brown, Josh Chamberlain goes through for sixth place. The Englishman riding well as Hermans then goes through. The picture as they drop down to this left-hander. So tightens then into almost a hairpin left. Struggle to get through there. You see it's fairly easy for the left-hand chairs up through that jump as Varick jumps up, Hermans jumps up onto the plateau. Then the Cooch cousins go through. So can Varick grab hold of Hermans, can he grab hold of the shirt tails of Brown and reel him in? Finished second in the first race, of course, so good points. Cooch there, you see just the sidecar wheel just come up a little bit. Driver have to back out of the power. So they pop up over the little jump at the bottom end of the circuit through the whoops up to the tabletop tunnel jump and back in behind the start gate to start another lap as Hermans goes through your picture. Then it is Cooch who are seventh. Here is eighth, that's Van Werven. That is a back marker. Ninth should be Sandsman's. 10th is Kinge. That's a good ride for the Englishman. He's got past Compolati. Is 11th. So George Kinge, young Lewis Gray, riding well together this year. Young Lewis stepped in last year after Dave Keane unfortunately broke his leg, and Lewis, never ridden Grand Prix before, has certainly stepped up to the plate and is doing a fantastic job. Well done, Lou boy. Keep it up. As we look at Sandsman's then. Sandsman's coming under pressure from the young Englishman, George Kinge. As Kinge there, you see, has to go to the inside line. Some of these corners will favour the left more than the right. Can Kinge make a pass? So, Sandsman's in the red, the number 16. Kinge, the number 23 machine. Resplendent in their Kenny gear, showy helmets, and their rip and roll goggles as they drop down into this bottom left hand. As you can see, Lewis working hard, just gets the drive through there, and you see quicker. This time he's going to go up the inside of him. That's a good move by George Kinge. Will have the inside, but Sandsman's, the veteran, just jumps a little longer, shuts the door back in Kinge's face. So, can Kinge make another pass stick? Drives up the inside this time, but unfortunately, as you see, the left-hand chair cannot get the grip up through there. Kinge will now come round the outside this time. Has to go the long way round, but has made that pass stick. Dives down the inside then. That's a fantastic move from Kinge and Gray, the youngsters, riding really, really well. Good points for the youngster. So, made that pass stick down behind the commentary box then as they come up the hill towards the finish line. So, Kinge, Gray go through shot. Behind is the 16 as we go back then to Bax Stupilis. They are a mile in front at the moment, but as we all know, this sport can very, very soon turn round on its head. These machines are very, very highly tuned machines. The 700cc two-stroke Zabel in a WSP frame. The Wilvo Nistan, a Monster Energy backed machine. Resplendent in the black and pink, a service. And then rather nice laser helmets emblazoned with the Monster Energy logo. So Bax then, Stupilis away to the middle of the track. Riding really well. Just, I would think, if I was Etienne now, I would just be watching my board, my lap board, every time I came through to see what the gap was. And what we all call, you ride your board. So you try and stay within your same time. As we look back at Marvin van Luken and Ben van der Bogart, 34 seconds behind the race leaders. That is some distance. Varric and Dadas are up into third then, as we keep looking at Marvin van Luken and Ben van der Bogart. Of course, made the mistake early in the first race. Managed to get back up to 5th place to salvage some points. They are now lying 3 points behind. So Varric then, the lovable Estonian, and the likeable Latvian, that is Lauis Dadas, up into 3rd place. Fantastic ride for them, so we must have missed somebody. I will watch the screen as it goes through and see who we're missing. So Kurt Varric, Lauris Dadas through the picture. There's Davy Sanders, and behind them, coming under pressure from Stuart Brown. Looks as though Brown made a slight mistake, engine stalled. Now coming under pressure from Hermans. So Hermans trying to pressurise Stuart Brown, the Macclesfield boy from England, the carpenter by trade, with Josh Chamberlain in the chair, and he dives it deep in there. Unfortunately couldn't get the power back on, and Hermans just dives up the inside, but Brown now gets the power back on. Can he make this stick? Unfortunately not. So Hermans up another spot into 5th place. I make that by my calculations, as he tries to dive inside again, this time of Sanders. Not able to make it stick this time. So Hermans then sit patiently as they drop round this left-hander. There goes Brown, the 888. Resplendent in their wolf gear as Davy Sanders drops over. Hermans drops over. Brown then, the left-hand chair behind them. So Hermans, will he try and come up the inside as they come to the last turn of the circuit behind the start? Will he try and square him off and get the drive up through this start line? This will have to be very quick to see who's brave enough to jump out over the top here. So Hermans now may have the inside line going into this next right-hander. Unfortunately, not quite close enough though, but Davy Sanders goes wide. Hermans tries to put the power down and does so. So Hermans then out jumps Davy Sanders. Davy Sanders is going the inside. Decides not to this time, backs out of that one. So now Sanders coming under pressure from Brown. Brown goes round the outside. Brown makes that move stick as well. So Davy Sanders lost 2 spots in 3 corners. So now Hermans up another spot. Stuart Brown through, Davy Sanders. So by my reckoning, that should put Herman's up into 5th or 6th place. So Herman's drops away from us. Stuart Brown, the left-hand chair, closely followed by Davy Sanders. You see Josh Brown there, resplendent in the Wolf gear. Down into the bottom end of the circuit here. Into this tight left-hander. Again, Brown working hard to get that 4-stroke AMS. Driving forward, trying to get the traction up onto the plateau. Off the drop, down into this very tight left-hander at the bottom. So, can Stuart Brown, Josh Chamberlain try and hang on to the coattails of Herman's and try and pull him along? As you see, the sidecar wheel there of Herman's just popped up momentarily, so he couldn't get the power down. Manages to get driving forward again. So, over the tunnel jump into the start straight finish. Climb the hill again to start the next lap. 4 minutes left of this race to go. So Herman's pops up over the top there. Brown next. Josh just going for his tear off or a roll off, as you can see the system's there. Rip and roll goggles. Fantastic goggles. Keep these riders' eyes safe. As Herman's then drops down, and we go back to the leader. Hasn't put a foot wrong all day. Has really rode well all weekend. He said he had a few problems yesterday with suspension settings, etc., but looks as though we could be on for a double. But it is not over until the gentleman waves that checkered flag. So 3.5 minutes by my reckoning, maybe 4 laps to go. Casper Stupelis working hard, just dropping his inside shoulder over the little hip jump, then down into the little set of whoops, across the tunnel jump behind the start straight to come up to just under 3 minutes to go. So Bax, Stupelis absolutely out on their own. Textbook riding from Etienne, and as always Casper's doing a fantastic job. So down into the middle of the circuit, just drop over this little hip jump there, just drop back up onto this plateau, left-handed, as we go back and wait for the second place man to go through, which Marvin van Leukenen goes through then, 36 seconds down. Yes, I did say that right, 36 seconds down on Bax, but has had to work hard. Farrick and Daders go through them. As we watch Adrian Peters in shot, the 911, the young German with the Czechoslovakian passenger, scored his first points in 2 years in the first race. He's rather pleased with himself as we wait then for the red plate holder. Unfortunately, he will lose that here today to Bax, but we will fight on in Plomion. So Marvin van Leukenen, Ben van der Bogart, as I said in the earlier, the first race made a slight mistake on the bottom end of the circuit in the whoops. Managed to salvage some points. Down into this left-hander, tightens into a hairpin left. Again, as you can see, the machine working hard, trying to get the drive forward, trying to find the correct line to drop up over onto that plateau. As they drop down, come into some back markers. As you can see, the rest of the teams go through. So it looks as though Marvin's got through the first couple. It's Normac, I think, just in the lime green. And there is Kurt Varrick. So Varrick, the Estonian, pushing hard. Can he and Dadas make up enough ground on Van Luukkonen to take second place? I think this will be Varrick's first podium spot for overall, but I will check as Van Luukkonen goes through. Then Adrian Peters goes through, Normack goes through. These are back markers. Here is your third place. The number 7 machine, the AMS engine. So they are 10 seconds, just over 10 seconds down, but is Herman's coming as well. So Varrick cannot lay on his laurels. He will need to keep working hard. Can't afford to make a mistake, otherwise Herman's will pounce. So as we look, there is Herman's. So Herman's is not far away, and we have time up. So next time round they will get the 2-lap board as we watch Koen Hermans, the Dutch youngster, the Sandman. Oh dear. Loves the sand, but is learning to ride these hard tracks. As you can see, this one's fairly sandy anyway, so he's reasonably at home. Nico Musset in the chair, acquitting himself well as usual. Certainly rode well at the start of the season. A couple of engine mishaps, but Hermans then, can he catch? Can he catch and pass? So Bax then through, 2 laps to go. Stupidus just dropping that inside shoulder, electing to jump short. So don't want to make a mistake now. Quick look up just across the track to see if he could see where the next crew are, which are not even into shot yet. So Bax, Stupidus have got out of the front early and stayed there. Have not put a foot wrong in this race at all. So as they drop down into the middle of the track, still just over 38 seconds behind is Marvin Van Luukkonen. So come to the end of, almost the end of this race. These passengers and drivers will have been working hard for 30 minutes. It's hot. We were saying yesterday and this morning in the first race, there's not a lot of air while you're riding. Those that do ride will understand what I mean. Trying to get some air to cool your body down. These passengers are working hard, as are the drivers. Passengers, I think, being an ex-passenger myself, are possibly one of the fittest in the world athletes. So Stupidus then up over the little hip jump into the whoop section, over the tunnel jump, down behind the start to come up the start line then to start his last lap of this brilliant weekend. So back Stupidus over the line, on their way to take an overall victory here, which will help them push towards taking the title away from Marvin Van Luukkonen. But there is a long way to go in this championship. So the 82 machine, the WSP Zabel, with that pink and black Acerbis gear, riding gear, city boots, laser helmets and Scott goggles. Does look rather nice. So then, last maybe 30, 40 seconds of this race here in Ukraine. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll see you again. So 82 then, Etienne Bax, Kasper Stupoulis. Last couple of corners. Drive up the hill, then jump up onto this plateau, go right-handed. There again, Etienne just taking a tear off. Down that little jump into this tight right-hander. Trying to keep that bike going forward, don't want to stall it. Sometimes, of course, these machines are hot now. Trying to start one of these machines when they're hot is fairly difficult. Stupoulis, absolutely brilliant weekend. He is a brilliant passenger. So, tunnel jump. Before they turn right then to come up the start line for their last time to take the checkered flag. Big fist pumps from Kasper's. So Etienne Bax, Kasper Stupoulis then take the win. Take the overall. That's a double today. Brilliant ride. Absolutely brilliant ride from the pair. So we wait as Kasper celebrates. As we wait then for the second place to come across the line. As you can hear the crowd behind us. So there goes second place, Marvin van Lueken and Ben van der Bogart. Absolutely exhausted. Third place then, Varek goes through. That's a brilliant yacht, brilliant ride then for the Estonian-Latvian pairing. Go through. Hermans then goes through in fourth. Brown then goes through in 5. Another good ride for the Englishman. We'll keep him up in the points. As we look at Hermans warming down. So the next over line should be Sanders for 6th. So we hope you've enjoyed your weekend with us. Thank you for joining us. Stay with us. We will have the prize ceremony very shortly as we wait for 7th to come across the line, which should be Van Werven. It's a good ride. 7th for Van Werven. 8th then for the Cooch cousins. So there you see Stupoulis. You see Kasper's not a bead of sweat. Dearkins comes across the line then for 9th. 10th then goes through is Kinge and Gray. That's a brilliant ride. 2 10ths. That's a fantastic ride. 10th and 11th, sorry. That's some brilliant points for the young Englishman, the English pairing. Well done, Lewis. Well done, George. Well done to the team. Everybody that helps. Brilliant ride. So, the crowd getting their vantage points for the prize giving ceremony. So we've had a brilliant weekend here. The facilities are fantastic. A few little hiccups, but if we come back next year, hopefully they can be sorted. So, as we wait for the presentation, as you see, Bax and Stupoulis right back up in front of us to go to the presentation. Possibly hear the crowd behind us. hopefully we'll have a... Eva will be up there shortly to get an interview. So you can see how windy it is. The trees in the background there. So the wind certainly picks up. But as I said, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure to sit here and do my best to explain everything. I hope I've done everything correctly, and hopefully we will see you at the next live. So here is your overall classification of the day. Etienne Bax then, the number 82, takes the overall. Kurt Varek, Laris Dalis for second overall. Third, Dennis Hermans. Marvin van Leeuwen for 4. Stuart Brown for 5. Arne Deerkin 6. Davy Sanders 7. Gert van Werven, Peter Bunk 8. Compilati 9th. And George Kinge, fantastic 10th on the day. 11th, Adrian Peters. 12th, Horch. 13th is Cooch. 14, Resner. 15, Santamans. 16 is Baltusis. Normack 17, Justin Kubin 18, Glushenko 19, and Zorvitsky 20. Fortunately, Jake Brown there, although he didn't finish the race, he scored points. And you see there, Daniel Williamson, if you were looking for him, unfortunately he did not start this race. They had engine problems, I think, in that first race and decided not to come out. So, what a fantastic weekend we've had here in Ukraine. The next Grand Prix we have will be in Plomion, which unfortunately is not live. The next live one will be in Kivioli in a few weeks' time. If you're not sure, go to the FIM Sidecarcross.com, follow all the instructions and look at all the lists, etc, etc. We'll tell you all the dates where we are live and how you can purchase these. So, as we wait, it's 4:45 here in Ukraine. So, 4:45 in Paris, 3:45 in London. And if anybody is awake in Australia, thanks for joining. It's almost midnight. So, once we get all the dignitaries up in position, I will just leave you for a couple of seconds to get my breath, get a drink, until we have the prize giving.
Congratulations, perfect race for you. You got the whole shot and a strong lead, double victory. How is it?
Yeah, how much down we are yesterday night, so we are up now. So it was great comeback for us, for our team. The guys did a great job to set up the bike today. We made totally big changes and it worked out good. And finally we get the whole shot and the red plate back. So could not ask for anything more.
Congratulations.
So, there you see the interview from Jeva Kaspers. I spoke to Etienne yesterday afternoon. He said he was struggling a little bit, couldn't quite get the feeling right. They made massive changes with the suspension last night and this morning in warm-up. They got it to somewhere where they liked. There's Ben van der Bogart and Marvin van Leeuwen taking their trophies. for third place. So they rode well. So he made a small mistake earlier in the first race, which has perhaps cost him a little bit. But when Bax is on song, Bax is on song. As they come up to take the spoils for the second race. That is your podium for the second race. So Etienne Bax, Casper Stuplis has been around this game a long time. He's a fantastic guy. He's a fantastic mentor to any young passengers out there. If you want to be like somebody, that is certainly a man to aspire to, as all of these guys are. Marvin, the youngster, Ben van der Bogart for 4 world titles. His first 2 with Ben Adriaansen, his third with Jan Hendricks, and of course his 4th last year with Marvin.
Williamson is 10 times the world champion. Bax and Stupilis, they've done it again. Unbelievable. Marvin van Leeuwen certainly deserves the red plate. And what an incredible sport this is. Fast, high and spectacular. Unbelievable.